Alright, quick question for you. Is downtime the term for the feeling of sorrow that you have after you lose an hour's sleep because you had to spring forward for daylight savings time? Today, we're going to talk about Downtime Mode and how it's used in Pathfinder 2nd Edition on this episode of The Local Disaster Tour Guide. Hello travelers and tourists, my name is Mark and I am the local disaster tour guide. That's right, I am a storyteller who doesn't understand what R&R means. You say vacation, I say training montage. Welcome to a journey through the fantastic world of TTRPGs like Pathfinder and Starfinder. And welcome back to Storytelling in Pathfinder 2e, a series where we take a look at the tips, tricks, and advice that Paizo offers storytellers to help their Pathfinder 2e games run a little bit better at their tables. Now, this series is intended for storytellers of all skill levels from beginner to advanced, and regardless of what your preferred game is, I still encourage you to stick around and be a part of the conversation. One of the things that I've observed over years of storytelling is that when you study a multitude of games, you often pick up useful tips and tricks that you can bring back to your preferred game, so regardless of how much time you've had behind the GM screen, or which game is your preferred game, I invite you to stick around and be a part of this conversation. Before we dive into today's topic, I would like really quick just to apologize if I look or sound a little bit differently in this video. Basically, allergy season has hit the state of Kentucky, and I'm probably going to look and sound just a little bit beat up for about the next month, so I apologize if that affects the quality of these videos. I'll try to use the technical tools to keep it from being too bad, but just be aware for the next few weeks, I'm going to be harshly bullied by a legion of angry pollen elementals, and there's not much I can do about that. Ooh, pollen elementals. That would make for a really cool monster for next year's RPG Superstar. I need to write that down. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Downtime Mode, which is one of the three major modes of play in Pathfinder 2e. Now, we've been talking about the different modes of play and the specific topics under each mode of play for a while now, but just as a quick refresher of the conversation we've been having, Pathfinder 2e is divided into three distinct modes of play: Encounter Mode, Exploration Mode, and Downtime Mode. And over the last several months, we've talked about how these different modes of play are different ways of balancing narrative tension against the progress of the story. Sometimes stories slow down to help emphasize the tension of a particular scene or a particular moment, and we've talked about how Encounter Mode is the extreme of, well, tension inside of a story. Then we spent a lot of time taking a look at Exploration Mode, which is kind of the in-between when you're balancing these two particular aspects of storytelling, and we talked about how Exploration Mode both serves to advance the story while maintaining some narrative tension, and we talked about how Exploration Mode is really centered around the element of discovery in storytelling. Well, we've spent a lot of time on those two modes of play, so now we arrive at the last mode of play, which is Downtime Mode. This is the mode of play that focuses on the progress speed of a story and has the least narrative tension of the three different modes of play that we've discussed. Paizo describes Downtime Mode as a mode of play that moves on a day-to-day scale or possibly longer, such as week-to-week, month-to-month, or even year-to-year. The idea is that you are covering lots of time with a very small amount of storytelling effort. And while the narrative tension is low, it serves a function in helping a story to progress rapidly towards important moments or important points inside of the story that you're building. So today, we're going to take a look at Downtime Mode, what it is, what purpose it serves, and some of the things that you can use it for inside of your stories. By the way, if you're interested in reading up on Downtime Mode in Pathfinder 2e, you can check out a couple different places in the core rulebook. Page 481 talks about Downtime Mode from a player's perspective, and then pages 500 to 502 in the core rulebook talks about Downtime Mode from a Game Master's perspective. And then, in the Game Mastery Guide for Pathfinder 2e, you can find some more detailed discussions of Downtime Mode from pages 22 to 27. Now, I will say for today's video, we're going to be focusing mostly on the core rulebook and what it presents, and then in the next video in this series, we'll talk about some of the big ideas from the Game Mastery Guide before we start breaking down kind of topic by topic what is covered with Downtime Mode. But our goal is to get a good picture of what Downtime Mode is and does and how we can make use of it. But before we do that, quick shout out to all the YouTube stuff that helps this channel to succeed. If you enjoy this video, be sure to like it and share it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe as well. And most importantly, please be a part of the conversation. Leave your observations, leave your thoughts, leave your questions. We're starting a new major section of this series, so if there are particular questions you have about Downtime Mode, please put those in the comments, and that can help me when I'm pulling together the topics for these videos. Just know that I appreciate the community I have here and all of the support and feedback that you give me. Yes, it feeds the algorithm, but more importantly, it encourages me as a content creator, so know that I really appreciate all that stuff. And of course, we also have a sponsor ad. So I want to give a huge shout out today to the sponsor of this video, ArcKnight. ArcKnight is a Texas-based company that makes TTRPG accessories out of beautiful and durable die-cut plastic. They offer products like spell templates, maps, object sheets, and the product that we're advertising today, RPG mini mounts. These are kind of small. Maybe we should go to the map and show you how these work. Okay, so what I want to do first is I want to do a slow pan and show you some of the different cuts that come from the mini mounts at ArcKnight. As you can see, there is a wide variety of options. You've got spiders and horses and unicorns. You've got sea creatures like sea turtles and bears and rhinos. And if I'm being entirely honest, I got the Kickstarter, which includes some Kickstarter exclusive mini mounts. I honestly don't remember which ones are which, but you can see that this collection comes with an incredible variety of creatures that your players can ride into battle. As you can see here, using the mini mounts on your maps is very easy to do. Pawns and figurines will sit very easily on top of your minis, allowing you to quickly demonstrate when your character is mounted or dismounted. And as I've already noted, this collection comes with a variety of different mini mounts that you can use. So as you can see, Ravin, our warrior, is riding on the back of a black dragon, Ampara has a unicorn, Hoshi the witch picked up a displacer beast somewhere, and even the halfling chef has a giant frog that they are riding into battle. One more thing that I would like to note about the mini mounts is that they come compatible with spaces where you can insert the flat plastic minis from ArcKnight into the mount so they work seamlessly with other ArcKnight products. Now, my wife and I do hope to invest in the flat plastic minis eventually, but right now we're using the Pathfinder pawns that Paizo produces, and as you can see, they also work perfectly well with ArcKnight's mount minis. So that's just a quick view of how you can use these products at your gaming table. And I just want to say I have a great deal of respect for ArcKnight, and my wife and I are super excited to be working with them as sponsors for this channel. The die-cut plastic that they use is incredibly durable and beautiful, making for products that are going to last, and you get a lot of product for a very low price. One of my favorite things about ArcKnight products is just how easy it is to store everything that ArcKnight makes. For example, I actually backed the Mini Mounts Kickstarter, and even though I got
dozens of mini mounts to use in my campaign. They all fit neatly in this single box. This doesn't take up much room on my shelf, meaning that I have plenty of space for the other accessories in my collection. The last thing I want to say about ArcKnight is this. I have been a customer of ArcKnight for years, and they have an absolutely fantastic team. I've backed their Kickstarters, I've actually gotten to talk to them at Gen Con, and I have done a number of orders through this company, and on the single occasion that an order went wrong, their customer service team was extremely quick to address the problem, fix the problem. I am blown away by the professionalism and courtesy of this company, and they are wonderful to work with. And again, thank you ArcKnight for sponsoring this video. If you want to check out their products, I'll throw a link in the video description below. So in our discussion of Downtime Mode today, some of the most important information I actually already gave you in the opening summary of this video. Downtime Mode is a mode of play that is intended to cover large periods of time with relatively little effort at the gaming table. Paizo describes Downtime Mode as a mode of play that moves on a day-to-day scale, or possibly longer, such as week-to-week, month-to-month, what have you, rather than a scene-to-scene or second-to-second scale that you might associate with the other two modes of play. The goal, ultimately, is to cover a lot of chronological ground without eating up too much time at the gaming table. And as I've already noted, kind of the big picture purpose of Downtime Mode in Pathfinder 2e, or really any TTRPG to be honest, is to help progress the story. It's about maintaining the pacing and allowing things to move quickly enough that you can get to important points or get to interesting encounters more efficiently. Now, Paizo doesn't have any particular point in its books where it highlights the word progress in big letters and says, this is what you got to pay attention to. But if you read their books closely, you'll see the word progress pop up quite a bit in regards to different aspects of Downtime Mode, and you can very quickly hear in their language that that's what Downtime Mode does. It progresses the story. And one of the most important points to understand when you are storytelling Downtime Mode is because you are focusing on the progress of the story rather than the tension of the story. Those are more common in the other modes of play. One of the key descriptors of Downtime Mode is it is a low to no stakes mode of play. Your PCs should not die during Downtime Mode. Your PCs should not be suffering major losses or fearing for their safety during Downtime Mode play. Encounter Mode and Exploration Mode are a much better fit for those tense narrative moments. Downtime Mode is about stepping back, seeing the big picture, and giving your players a chance to do some things they normally wouldn't get to do. Now, if you take a look at Downtime Mode in the core rulebook, you'll find that there's 3 general categories of what Downtime Mode is used for when you're considering it from a player's perspective. One is sort of a task management system, which would cover things like forging a letter, or crafting items, or learning new spells, those kinds of long-term skill checks. The second option is what I'm going to call R&R, which we all know means rest and retraining. What do you mean I need a vacation? And then last but not least, Downtime Mode also serves as an opportunity for your PCs to have a little fun. And we're going to talk about all 3 of those in this video. Now, first up with Downtime Mode, we have Downtime Mode as a mechanical vehicle for long-term skill checks. Some skill checks are much more appropriate to exploration or encounter mode play, such as tumbling through an enemy space or climbing up the side of a castle wall. However, some skill checks are intended as a way to reflect activities that occur over a larger period of time, and one of the classic examples of this is crafting. It's a pretty well-established trope in a lot of fantasy media of a warrior spending time crafting their own unique sword or crafting their own unique armor that they then get to take into battle with them at a later point in time. A good example of this would be Sokka's master from Avatar: The Last Airbender, where Sokka spends time creating his own unique space sword
that he gets to use for like the rest of that season. That is the kind of activity that plays out in a scale that's not really appropriate to round by round or moment by moment play. Downtime activity covers things like crafting, because if you want to include skills like crafting in your narrative, you have to be willing to step back a bit in order to allow time for that kind of progress to be meaningful. Now, the Pathfinder 2e core rulebook gives us 5 different examples of skill activities that are typically going to be more appropriate to downtime play, and that is crafting, forgery, subsisting, earning an income, and treating disease. And you can see how each of these different skill activities could be an interesting portion of the story that you would want to step back a bit and allow enough time to properly play out. Characters who are designing their own unique gear would need that extra time for crafting. A character who's trying to sneak into an event that they haven't been invited to might need to spend some time forging the right documents in order to be able to get inside. Characters that are lost or stranded in the wilderness might need to make skill checks to subsist and survive until they can make their way back to civilization. And what bard hasn't tried to earn a few extra coins by playing songs for their meals? Finally, there are plenty of stories about characters who are battling severe or mysterious illnesses, and the narrative portrayal of the doctor trying to rescue that character's life is the kind of skill check that would be best portrayed through Downtime Mode play. Now, these are far from the only possibilities for skill activities that could be used in Downtime Mode, but I think these are good examples of how skills can be used in Downtime Mode, where you can see that the best way to portray a particular activity or a particular skill use is measured over long periods of time. So that's kind of the first thing that Paizo presents for a potential use of Downtime Mode. Now, that last example of a skill activity that Paizo gave us, treating disease, kind of leads into the next area where Downtime Mode is useful as a storyteller, and that's for R&R. Rest and retraining. Let's talk about rest first. Previously in this series, we've talked about camping and resting for the night and the process that PCs go through in recovering from the trials of a given day. However, that's short-term recovery. Sometimes recovery is a much longer and more involved process, and that's where the rules for long-term recovery come in. Now, we'll be doing deep dive videos on these subjects later, but for now, it's easy to see how Downtime Mode can allow that character to breeze through the recovery process, and though they lost many days inside the game world, the effect at the gaming table is relatively small, so Downtime Mode is used to cover that kind of long-term recovery process. The bigger R here, and this is a really fun topic. I am definitely looking forward to deep diving this later on in this series. That is retraining. Pathfinder 2e has made character retraining part of the core rules. And I actually think that is one of the most intelligent things that Paizo did when they were designing Pathfinder 2e. I have seen lots of RPGs that will include retraining rules at some point in the lifespan of the game. But credit where credit is due, Paizo put retraining rules into the core of Pathfinder 2e, meaning rules as written, Pathfinder 2e, no extra books needed. If you have a player who wants to retrain what their character can do, there are rules covering that particular scenario. And there is a ton of narrative potential here. Maybe a character trained in one particular skill set and then met some new friends, the rest of the adventuring party, and realized, oh, if I altered my skills in this direction, I would be able to work a little more closely with my team. Or maybe a character's just curious and wants to try something new, or out of game, maybe a player's just bored and wants to try something new. The point is this, as part of Downtime Mode, you have the option to let your PCs retrain their characters, altering their class feats, their skill picks, and various other aspects of their character to be a better fit to the story or to the type of game that they'd like to play. But there is one final aspect of downtime play that I really think is worth discussing and taking a moment to highlight when it comes to the big picture of what Downtime Mode is. And that is, Downtime Mode is an opportunity for your player characters to have some fun. Okay, I know it seems a little bit silly to talk about having fun at a game that we play with our friends, but when you think about constructing a story, when you think about constructing an enjoyable story, you have a variety of different scenes. You often have very intense scenes, very dramatic scenes, but you also have very lighthearted, very enjoyable scenes, and all of these different scenes woven together help to build a story that is narratively satisfying. A story that is nothing but harsh and depressing moment after moment after moment can ultimately wear down a person who is trying to consume that story, and a lack of lighthearted, fun, or jovial moments can cause someone to say, you know what, I'm not enjoying this. Yes, we want narrative tension, but we also want narrative tomfoolery. I mean, come on, we're talking about TTRPGs here. Do I really have to persuade you that narrative tomfoolery is important? Goofing off and doing crazy stuff is an important part of this game. And Downtime Mode is the mode of play that is often the most open or conducive to characters just having fun and being silly and doing things because they enjoy it. If narrative tension is the major element of encounter mode, if that question of will we win, will we lose, what's the outcome of this battle going to be, if that's the hook of encounter mode, then on the opposite end, where tension is the lowest, that opens up the possibility that this is the place where your characters can have fun and pursue goals, not because the big bad evil guy is going to destroy the world, but because, you know what, I want to go to the beach. A fully developed character is more than just a collection of combat stats, and giving your PCs an opportunity to do things because it is fun is an important part of the game. And Downtime Mode is specifically the mode of play that best offers your players an opportunity to have fun, goof off, be silly, and do all of those things that help to explore the personality of their character more than an attack roll ever could. Low to no stakes in terms of danger to the party opens up far greater room for characters to be, well, characters, and for your players to understand the other definition of what a party can be. If you think I'm overemphasizing this point, the very first paragraph Paizo has describing Downtime Mode includes player characters having fun as one of the major things you can use this mode of play for, so I think it's worth remembering. Downtime Mode is a chance for characters to relax, goof off, and be silly, and yes, that is an intentional part of the game. But that is a quick look at Downtime Mode and the purpose that it serves inside of the game. Downtime Mode offers characters a chance to use long-term skill activities. It gives them a chance to participate in long-term recovery or possibly retraining. And it offers characters a chance to goof off, be silly, and have fun. But let me turn the conversation over to you. What are some other narrative uses for Downtime Mode, and what are some of your favorite ways as a player or game master to use downtime at your gaming table? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to do all of the other YouTube stuff as well. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. You can find links to my free Discord and my Patreon in the video description. And I want to give one last shout out to the sponsor for this video, ArcKnight. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. But to my entire Disaster Tour Guide community, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation, and have a wonderful day.